Abroad Pod.
Hello, I'm your host, Rowan, and this is the Teaching Abroad Pod. On this episode, we're going to talk about a place that is very close to my heart, where my TEFL career really started, where I met my wife, paid off my student loans, fell in love with hiking, and the list goes on. That place, of course, is South Korea. And joining us today is longtime Korea recruiter extraordinaire Madeline Moon. Personally, I've known her for about 15 years, and she's been running teacher tech for almost 25 years. She's one of the best at placing applicants in Korean private language schools and preparing them for the visa process, as well as relocation to Asia. She loves to get to know each teacher and find the right match for them. And she works really hard to assist teachers from the beginning through to the end of the placement process. Welcome back to the pod, Madeline.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm happy to join today.
My pleasure. I think is this your third visit to the pod?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Amazing. Yeah, we've always enjoyed having you and are so glad to have you back. So let's get right into it. Why do you think it is that Korea is still one of the top TEFL markets after all these years? Why do you think people want to go teach in Korea?
That's a great question because, as Rowan said, I've been a recruiter for 25 years, and over the 25 years, I think, the reason that Korea is popular probably changed somewhat. Korea ESL market really mature because 25 years ago, 20 years ago, even compared like 10 years ago, schools are much more running professionally. So you're expected to have a very well-structured professional working environment. The directors and managers are really communicating well with you. And then also Korea, I mean, in my view, 25 years ago, Korea was a great place. But if you go now, I mean, it's amazing, modern, well-developed, wealthy country. So the living in Korea also offers a lot of, perks for different people, depends on where they come from. But especially, I think North Americans, they don't have a lot of times experience in living in urban environment. In Korea, no matter where you go, even if you ended up some a smaller city, you really get to have an urban experience, which is, amazing public transportation, technology, also first world healthcare, especially if you're coming from United States, you have such a bad healthcare system. But South Korea offers amazing healthcare system. I tell people you're going to experience higher living standard in South
Mm.
Korea in all, across like again, public safety, healthcare, public transportation, technology, but also, culture, products, everything, obviously, K-pop, K-food. So you get to so much of everything on top of, the normal things that we used to get anyway, like a traveling, saving some money, gain some experience, So again, I think we're still the best place to go for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's true. Korea is just so high tech, so modern
Yeah.
compared to a lot of cities in North America. You
Yes.
would be, your jaw might drop
Yeah.
when you go into some of the public, the subway stations or things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So, in terms of applying for jobs, what should applicants be doing ahead of time to give themselves the best chance at securing a teaching position there?
Yeah, I mean, that's very simple. I mean, beside TESOL certificate, get ready for teaching, you really have to start preparing your visa documents 6 months before your desired time. Let's say you want to teach March 2026. You want to start your paperwork September. Then when you actually match with the school, you have all the paperwork because we don't want to hire anybody who's not going to make it visa on time. So that's really number one thing and the most important thing you have to do. And depends on where you are, not just North Americans, but let's say you're a British teacher, Australian. Depends on where you are. Some paperwork can take much longer, but your documents expires after 6 months. Your criminal background check expires at 6 months. So you don't want to prepare too early. I will say 6 months is the best point of time that you can start paperwork.
So by start paperwork, you don't
Yes.
mean get that FBI check, that RCMP check with apostille exactly 6 months before you want to go. Maybe
Yes.
you start applying for it, but you don't want to get that in hand until
No, that's
5 or 4 months before you want to go because it'll be expired after 6 months.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
you got to get all your ducks in a row in a very well-planned timeline.
Right. Because sometimes the people come in like 2 months before their desired time and oh, I really want to go here. But we can't put the paperwork in 2 months.
Right. 2 months is
And
just
yes,
too
for
fast.
sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess kind of on the note, for our Canadian listeners, one advantage that didn't used to exist is that Canada is now a signatory to the Hague Convention for
Yes.
apostille. So
Yeah.
it should be a little more
Easier.
straightforward, easier. Just you need that one stamp from the government office. You don't need to go to notarization, then government, then the consulate. Like it's a bit of a quicker process now, right?
It is. I mean, I think my second podcast, I talked about how crazy it is, the Canadian authentication process, but it changed, I think, about a year and a half ago, finally. So, yes, you're exactly right. It's much faster, especially like if you're in Toronto, you can get it done in a day.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Used to be like 3 months sometimes, Yeah,
Yeah, I remember. That was
yeah.
not fun.
Not good. No.
Right. In terms of the interview, do you have any tips or tricks on how to nail that interview for getting a job in Korea?
Yeah, sure. So actually, majority of job, if you get to the point of interview, that means they pretty much happy with your resume showing your educational background, your experience. So the interview, they really just more get to know you like overall. Like, are you very social? Are you dynamic to work with the kids? Can you be cooperative? Do you have a good work ethic? Are you coming here for teaching? Because we don't want somebody to come into Korea and not do the work of the teaching and just having fun. So you really want to have a good attitude, showing them that you're coming to Korea to work hard as a teacher. Also, because, most people don't have a teaching experience, you also really need to show that you're very much willing to learn
Mhm.
and follow training curriculum school's instruction to become a good teacher. And then like I say, the personality a lot of times almost more than 70% why the school will hire you. You really want to show very pleasant, dynamic, friendly personality, because think about, like, you wouldn't really like cranky teacher or
Yeah.
not dynamic,
This isn't
boring.
your grumpy grade 12 science teacher who just stood in front of the class.
Right,
Speaking personally from my experience of my grade
right,
12 science teacher, they want
right.
people who are fun, entertaining, engaging, yet professional, trainable. Yeah, all good points.
Exactly. Exactly. Because most of school in Korea, they have a setup that they can, if you have a good attitude, good personality, that you can be trained and do the job. But if you don't have that base skill, personality, then there's nothing we can do. So the interview time, it's really important for you to show that potential, your good attitude. I think that's really most important. And then one other thing is you want to prepare some questions, because question is the time to kind of show you done some research, you understand. Because sometimes some people can ask like a question like you don't want to ask non-relevant question or student. I mean, the question that shows that you haven't done any research on your parts of it or asking about location, housing benefit. That's really not appropriate during the interview.
So ask
But
questions, but the right questions.
exactly. Like a question that can show that, wow, these persons are really interested in what we're doing, how our students are learning, how we're supporting the teachers, how our school can really well, running. So like you can even ask about how teachers evaluated, or how the teachers get support or training, things
What
like that.
about this is a question that I get sometimes. People want a shorter term contract. So I know standard in Korea is 12 months, pretty
Right,
much. So if
right.
somebody says, it's really important to me that I need to be back home for Christmas, or
Yeah.
I only want to go for 6 months or something. Is that a reasonable question to ask?
No, actually, I will screen them out. You can't really go for 6 months in Korea. No. Like, let's say if you're already in Korea, you might get a 6 months contract because you're already in Korea. But you're coming from North America, 6 months is not worth for any school to offer because we have to train you, like you don't have experience. We don't offer 6 months contract at all. But let's say if somebody have like a wedding, they already like sign up for bridesmaid or something, then they need to let recruiter knows before they directly talk to the school. And then I can ask the school, is it possible, even though during the 12 months time, it's not during his break, but he must come back for United States for wedding attending. Then we discuss that and we discuss even it's going to be 3 days off or 5 days off and school can, oh, we can organize that. He seems great. So as long as he's willing to come back after the wedding and finish the 12 months contract, we
Hmm.
can pretty set and we can find the school who's willing to do that. Yeah.
And I know it used to be pretty standard, like 1 week winter vacation, 1 week summer vacation. Is that still the case?
Most of a kinder school is that's the case, but we actually, the labor law changed that every full-time employee have to have 11 days. So we offer 11 days, and then second year they have to give a 15 days. And then, so if you're
Nice.
right, because if you remember, if you stayed in Korea more than a year, you always still get a 10 days. You never get a more holidays.
Hmm.
But now, if you stay with the same school, you get 15 days, and each year you get one more days. And then, some school, like for example, let's say Tuesday is a holiday, then they might call it off Monday as a seminar day, and then it's just teachers off day. So, the off days are a little bit better. And then if you teach it where there's no kinder students, they only operating elementary, middle school, then 11 days, there's like a 3 to 5 days preset, but the other 6 days or 5 days, it's on your time using it. You
Mhm.
don't have to follow school calendar exactly.
So
So
if
there's a little bit
it's
of difference.
really important to me that I'm home for Christmas, it's possible I could arrange my holiday, my 5 or 6 days winter break around that time.
It's possible, yes. And as
But
long as you communicate 3 months, 4 months before with the supervisor, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's something they could discuss with you before getting placed or with the school at the interview stage, or would it be better to wait till you're in Korea to
I
discuss?
think so. It's a little bit depends. Like, if you are well into your job, you're probably fine to just talk to the school. But if you're arriving like October and you're coming back home in December using holiday,
Mhm.
that need to be pre-discussed. Yeah.
Makes sense. All right.
Mhm.
And in terms of the schools you work with, you mentioned kindergarten, you mentioned elementary. So basically, could you elaborate what types of schools you work with? What are the age ranges?
Sure. So I'm gonna only speak for private language school, not the public school opportunity. So with the private language school, you most likely just have like a two different type of age group teaching. So if you have a 9 to 5 schedule, 9 to 2, you work with age group between 4 and 7. But you work with the one age group and you are a homeroom teacher. So 9 to 2, you work with them. Then 2 to 5, you work with the first, second, third grade young elementary. But there are schools that they don't have a kinder and they only focus elementary, middle school. Then you have a 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. schedule. 1 to 2 is your prep time. 2 to 9, you teach, your assigned classroom. And you have a dinner break too, but you basically work with the first grade to ninth grade between 1 p.m. 9 p.m. These are most standard two different type of teaching opportunity you will find. Sometimes there's also school that they don't have afternoon at all and everybody work 9 to 5 schedule. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was in the evening, the elementary, middle school age. I really enjoyed that actually. I'm
Yeah.
not cut out for kindergarten
Yeah.
personally, but some people love it. I've heard
I
them.
know.
They'll be like,
Most
"No, I love the
male
kids. I love the little ones." Like, I guess it's all a personality thing in a sense.
It is, but most male teacher don't go for kinder. 80% of male teacher go for elementary, middle school.
Hmm.
And then also school prefer female teacher anyway. So most kinder teacher, you will see 70, 80% it's a female.
I noticed you said 9 to 5. So is that like all of the kinders you work with are 9 to 5? Because
Yeah,
I've
pretty
seen
much.
contracts that are like 9 to 6, 9 to 6:30.
I mean, there are some 9 to 6, but majority are 9 to 5. And if you are having 9 to 6, it doesn't mean you work more. You just have a more breaks in your during class. So those school a lot of times, because you have a time, they allow, teacher to go grab a coffee. Sometimes they can go out for a walk. So it's really not bad because if you schedule's 9 to 5, it's a very tight schedule. You really don't have a time to grab a coffee or go exercise.
Well, that's
So
good to
that's
know.
right. So it's a really, you can still find a really good school that they run in 9 to 6. But I don't place anybody in more than 9 to 6. I don't have any contract 9 to 6:30 or 9 to 7 because there are some schools that do 9 to 7, and I think that's definitely too much. And because then you ended up also teaching more because it's such a long hours. But
Mm.
9 to 6 and 9 to 5, I don't really see huge difference, really. Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, there's more breaks throughout the day. I can
Yes.
see the benefit in that rather
Right.
than being with the kids
Ex-
all day.
Exactly. Yeah.
In which cities are the schools you work with located?
I mean, obviously, I work with a lot of school in Seoul, but pretty much everywhere. Some smaller city, I may only have like handful of school. Then, when you apply, I may not have a position in certain city, but I pretty much work with everywhere except actually Jeju Island. I
Nothing
don't
on
know.
Jeju?
No, because Jeju is very different. Like I had a school, but then like at the hours and everything, because it's such a like vacation spot. I don't know. I didn't have a really positive experience, and then I didn't ended up develop any school, and it's kind of isolated because like if you want to get to different part of Korea, if you're in Jeju Island, even though there's a lot of flights, because the weather, what if you won't be able to come back for the Monday schedule? You know what I mean? So there's a limit of the traveling the rest of the country. So I don't generally recommend it, isolated place. Yeah, so I don't have a Jeju, but the all rest of city I pretty much have everywhere. But the thing is, everybody want to be in Seoul.
We get
Very
some requests for Busan as well.
yeah, Busan, but lately, not even Busan that much. It's
Really?
really Seoul. Everybody's a Seoul. And it's way more that way compared to 10 years ago, 20 years. I think because people watch more TV show, Netflix, and it's just like, let's say when I was young, I watched a TV show, it's in New York. So
Hmm.
we'll think about, oh, I want to go to New York. Like I will never think about
They
going to
want to walk
England.
on the Han River in the parks or whatever.
Exactly. So it's just like Seoul, but I want people to really open to other location because South Korea is really well developed throughout and it's very easy to travel. And there's sometimes, you will find more laid-back school in smaller cities and medium-sized city. Seoul's are very uptight, so competitive.
More
People,
expensive.
yes, exactly. But Korea is very small. I
Hmm.
think Korea is as big as America. No, we're so small. We can go anywhere in half day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like I lived in a small city about 90 minutes south of Seoul, 20 minutes from Daejeon.
mhm.
My girlfriend then, now wife, she lived in Nonsan, so she could take the KTX to Seoul.
Wow.
It's like so easy to get
I know.
anywhere very quickly. The buses are so on time. It's like
I
they're
know.
leaving every 10 minutes.
I know. I know. But nobody will go Nonsan.
No, I
Even
like
though
Nonsan. It's very nice.
I know that's what I'm saying. So people, I really, after people watch this podcast, I really want them to consider other location. Yeah.
They definitely should. I always tell people, like, no, I want Seoul. Like, you
Yeah.
didn't know Cheonan is on the Seoul subway. Cheonan, which is
I know.
north of my province that I lived
I
in.
know.
You can
I
get
know.
downtown Seoul on the subway from there.
Exactly. So hopefully they will do that a little bit more.
And for Jeju, if we're not scaring anybody away from traveling there, look what I got. Did you
Oh
recognize?
yeah, yeah. Harubang, Dol Harubang. Yeah.
It's made out of like black
Yes,
volcanic rock. I
yes, yes.
loved traveling to Jeju as a
Oh
vacation
yeah,
spot for sure. It's beautiful. The
yes,
beaches, the mountains,
yes,
Halasan, all of that.
yes. I
Gorgeous.
went to Jeju last year, and
Nice.
it's way more developed probably when you went.
Probably. Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
underdeveloped.
So now it's very, very well developed, and there's a lot of amazing cafe, restaurant, but nature, but also really well developed.
Did you do the hike, the Halasan hike?
I did actually,
Did you
yeah.
make it to the top?
No, not the top, because the top you have to reserve.
Yeah, that was my problem. We didn't know that. We left
Yeah.
too late, so we had to come back down.
Yeah, so I couldn't really reserve. It was all booked, but they have a different path. So I went up. It was all day. It was really great. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite places in the world for hiking, for
Oh, I
sure.
see. Yeah.
All right, enough about Jeju. What are the standard contract benefits for English teachers in Korea these days?
Yeah. We offer really great benefits. So you get one-way ticket to Korea. Unfortunately, we don't offer return ticket anymore, but if you go smaller city, you get a return ticket.
Oh, you can still get a return ticket.
Yes, a smaller city because we're trying to attract more people since everybody want to go.
Oh, I hope
So that's
people keep that in mind about
yes.
smaller cities as well.
Yes, yes. And then you obviously get a free housing, and we offer really clean, single, walking distance, furnished with air conditioner, housing.
No cockroaches?
No, I don't think so. No, no. That's like I say, the Korea become more wealthier. We just don't have a housing that has a cockroach. Maybe it
Right.
used to, but not anymore. And then also, when I first worked as a recruiter 25 years ago, a lot of housing did not have air conditioner because Koreans did not have air conditioner. That was the standard. But now everybody has air conditioner, so that's the standard. So every housing has air conditioner. And a lot of housing, it's updated. So you will see a very updated kitchen and the bathroom. It's really,
Separate shower stall.
yes.
I think mine was right beside the sink and the toilet.
Think, yeah. No, I don't think you might still see that somewhere, but majority of them, it's really nice. Like I can say, I don't mind living here. It's really nice, clean,
Nice.
single, private, safety. You get a 1 month extra salary when you finish a 12 months contract. You get also pension benefits. Like I mentioned earlier, you get a 11 days vacation days. But you also get all the national holidays off. We have so many holidays. We have about 16 national
That
holidays.
11 days is in addition to
But yeah,
national
on
holidays.
top of it. Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. So total, you will be off 26 days. And you don't work Saturday, Sunday. You might work Saturday maybe twice a year, special events. But that's, that's normal. And as I mentioned earlier, we have amazing healthcare system. It costs maybe about 50, 60 US dollar, and you're cover everything,
That's
dental,
per
eye.
month deduction,
Yeah.
salary deduction.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But if you go to doctor, still the copay is very, very affordable. It's not expensive. South Korea healthcare system is literally the best.
awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I had an appendectomy in Daejeon. Very good surgeon. She spoke English.
Yeah.
Couldn't have asked for better care. I would
Yeah.
say the copay on that was not the best, though. It was expensive, that
Oh,
surgery.
I see.
So maybe
I
it depends on the procedure or the hospital. I
maybe,
don't know.
maybe. Yeah.
But it was half as expensive as it would have been if I didn't have the health insurance. So there's that pro to it, I suppose.
And also, if you compare to America, it probably much affordable still. Very
Yeah,
expensive.
that's true. I was coming from Canada, so
Right.
as a Canadian, I'm like, that's expensive because I would have paid $0 for that, apart from, I suppose, it comes out of your taxes. Yeah, it was a beautiful hospital.
Yeah.
It was a teaching hospital, very good quality of care, I would say.
Yes. Yes.
The thing I really did like was I think whenever I went for like acupuncture or anything like that, it was
Ah,
covered. That's you don't get that with Canadian
no,
state
no.
healthcare.
Right.
Pros and cons.
Yeah.
In terms of those benefits you mentioned, severance, 1 month salary, and pension, do you recall what is the pension you get back nowadays? Like roughly in a year, how much would you get back?
Yeah, it's still roughly about your 1 month extra salary at the end of the year. So pension is very similar to for Americans like a 401k and Social Security. And probably Canadian has a similar that kind of retirement plan. So
Hmm.
if you are a full-time employee, regardless of your nationality, you have to join pension. You join insurance and some pension together in Korea. So you can't join one to another because British teacher, Australian, New Zealander, South African, they don't get a pension refund, but they have to join.
Oh,
So
that's
this,
a Canadian and American
yeah,
agreement with Korea.
because, right, because the Korea, United States, and Canada, they made the agreement. So what happens is you join and you put down maybe about 5% of your salary, and then school have to match that for you. So they are putting extra money on your pension. And as a Canadian and American, you prove you're a Canadian American citizen, you are leaving out of Korea, pension office will send the money that you put it, the money the school put it and it's roughly always about months of your extra salary. So
So
you
it's
get
like 9 to 10%,
right,
something in there of your annual salary
exactly,
back to you when you leave the country.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah, that was a nice bonus. I
right,
remember when I left,
right,
I had my last month's pay, my severance, my
right,
pension. That was like
pension,
6,000 extra dollars kind of all at
exactly.
once.
Right. So if I cover how much people can expect to save, would this matter? I mean, I can't really guarantee how much you're going to save because it's up to your lifestyle and spending, but I can imagine you can save $300 and $400 a month for sure without rent, without car payment, without, spending gas and everything. So you definitely save 400, 500. So minimum is really 10,000 saving. That's really minimum.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was saving about $1,000 a month, about half my
Yeah.
salary.
Yeah.
But like you said, it depends on your lifestyle. But maybe things are more expensive now
It
than they were
is.
then
It is.
too. So
Yeah.
you're saying it would be difficult to save $1,000 a month?
I think at your time that was very easy, but now it's possible, but you kind of have to make that as a goal. I think you just did it even after you kind of enjoy yourself fully.
Yeah, I was
Right.
going out to the bar a few nights
Right.
a week and traveling around Korea every
Right.
weekend. So I was not doing things. I was doing a lot of things and
Right.
still saving $1,000 a month.
Exactly. Like you probably didn't intentionally like, oh, I got to save $1,000. It just happened. But now I think you can still enjoy it, but you do have to have a little bit of like an intention to save 1,000 because things are definitely a little bit more expensive. Yeah.
Hmm. So
But
maybe
saving,
500 a month is more
I
easy
think so.
to
I
do.
think so. Yeah, 600, but again, because there's a big perk at the end of, you definitely get to save a 10,000 minimum.
Awesome.
Yeah. I like to say that, and then, people will ended up saving more than that, and that will be a nice surprise, right? I mean,
Yeah,
10,000 saving is still great because nobody saved 10,000 in the United States.
no, when you have to pay rent every
Yeah,
month
that's
and
what I'm saying.
the food is more expensive here for
Right,
sure.
right.
Yeah, it'd be a challenge.
Yeah,
Unless you're making, six-figure income or
right,
something.
right.
But in terms of the salary, what is the typical salary nowadays per month?
Yeah, salary actually went up because, inflation and everything. We used to get 2,200, 2,100. I mean, I used to place people with the 2.3, 2,300,000, but now the very minimum's 2,500,000. I don't have any contract less than that. And then depends on like if you go in Seoul, you're more likely make 2.5 because everybody's there anyway. Like they don't have to offer more to get teacher. This is a very supply demanding. So
Mm.
actually, if you go smaller city, because there's not a lot of people applying, you actually make more. A lot of times people think the other way. Oh, Seoul probably pays more because it's expensive city. No. The higher pay, 2.6, 2.7, is a smaller city.
So which city would you say is offering 2.7?
It need to be 500,000 size of city. So like a
Kapohan,
Pohang, maybe like a Naju.
Gwangju.
Gwangju, you will get a 2.6. Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind for sure. For everybody who says, I only want Seoul, do you want that return flight? Do you want a higher salary?
Right. Exactly.
Go to a
Yeah.
smaller city.
Yeah. But if
And
you love Seoul, so you're gonna end up traveling to Seoul all the time, you're gonna spend that money. So, still like you kind of have to think about what you want to get it. And, I do my very best to place people where they want to be. But I found a lot of times people who open to it and they went to a place, they love it. It's not like they're gonna dislike it. So,
mhm,
it's all kind of personal preference. Yeah.
makes sense. And how seriously do you think applicants should consider the bad reviews they read online about teaching in Korea or specific chain schools? How would you say they can get the most accurate picture of a potential employer?
Yeah, I think this is a very good question, but very difficult to answer or, navigate it. Maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the reviews are more matters, but now 25 years later, as I said, South Korea market really mature. Like I will really tell them like if you have a right attitude, you will be have a great experience wherever you go. But that doesn't mean, I don't want anybody to not be careful about their job search. But sometimes people are so much focused on negative things and not be able to really look at things in the reasonable mindset.
Can be
Uh,
like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost too. Like if you expect something bad to happen, you're
right,
looking for that problem, you're more
right.
likely to find it.
Right. That's really true. Like if you read somebody complaining about working too much, then you get there like, oh, this is maybe what they were thinking. But let's say if somebody actually had a mindset of, I'm going to go Korean, I'm going to work hard, then it's fine. If there's a fact base, I didn't get paid, or my house has mold, that is a very valid fact you to consider for sure. But if somebody said, "Oh, my boss is so mean," like your boss is gonna mean to you if you don't work very well. All the
That's true in
teachers,
a lot of countries around the world.
yeah. And the best thing to really find out what's going to happen, I mean, what's happening at the school, is obviously during interview, you can get a lot of sense of how the schools are running. The director seems very friendly, supportive, explain about the school, but also we always give current teachers email address. And we actually want to tell people what's good, what's bad, what's challenging.
But that is a reasonable request. Can I talk
Exactly.
to one or two current
Yes,
teachers about their
yes,
experience?
yes.
We generally recommend people do that if we don't know that school, we don't know their
Hmm.
reputation.
Hmm.
Sure, it's a common request. But
Yeah, we
not too long
always do
ago,
it.
we said that to somebody. I think they were applying to a school in Taiwan, maybe.
Uh,
And the school was like, "You're asking too many questions. You don't trust us. So we're not going to hire you now." It's like,
no, no, we don't do that.
it's not a very reputable thing to say as a school. We're not going to hire you because you ask us for references.
Yeah, then you don't have to go to school. But we are very open. We give all the information. We want to talk to the current teacher because we don't want anybody to really fail.
I guess another point is about like if you say, oh, boss is being too mean, from my experience, there's a bit of a cultural difference
Yeah.
there,
Yes.
maybe too. Like in I
Yes.
don't know about all schools, but in a lot of schools in North America now, they kind of you could say they like coddle students,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then they might go somewhere else where that's not
Yeah,
so much the culture, and
that's right.
they have a little higher expectations of
That's right.
performance.
Yeah, and also Korea, we have a like authority culture. So the boss, in America, Canada, you can be casual with the boss, but we don't, the boss it's authority figure. So there's a little bit of that. But generally, that's the thing. Like I say, in 25 years, the manager and even boss understand, oh, we need to be more, open and friendly and communicative so they understand, teacher can speak up, teacher can, talk to the manager. So, that's what I find out. A lot of managers that I'm working with, they're much more open and communicative with their teachers and they have a really good relationship. Yeah.
I guess if they've been doing it a long time, they've learned
Right.
over the years
Exactly.
what's the
Exactly.
best way to manage foreign staff.
Exactly. Exactly.
I guess following up on that last question, if things aren't going well, if somebody's just decided it's not for them, they're not going to finish their contract, what are the main reasons for that? And what can teachers do to give themselves the best chance of success in their new role?
Really the main reason that people don't finish is not so much like adjustment to Korea because Korea is a very good place to live, it's really because of the teaching. They're not able to deliver teaching. Part of it is also their expectations not reasonable. And then they didn't understand really what is the work ethic and what is the quality that South Korea schools are looking for. But some people, maybe they didn't get training. That's why Oxford seminar, it's important. You guys are training teachers. So it's really important to have a basic training because otherwise, even if the school trains you, if you really doesn't know anything, what is the teaching, it's gonna be difficult because you have to took off as a professional teacher pretty much a month in and 2 months, right? Because it's a year contract and you're supposed to perform really well during your contract time. You can't struggle 6 months. So you kind of have to be fast learner. So like the first, the second months will be different. But I want people to think a little bit. It can be challenging. I'm going over there to learning. I'm going to get a professional experience that I can use when I come back and getting another job. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Before we go, do you have any advice to people who may be hesitant about the cost and time commitment for getting a TEFL certification? What would you tell people who ask if it's really worth it to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I do sometimes, obviously I get people from your organization, but sometimes they randomly come in without TESL certificate. Then I definitely recommend it because for private school, you might get a job without TESL certificate. You might. But getting a job and doing a job is different. As I mentioned it earlier, if you don't have a basic tool, you might fail. So you definitely want to think about, do I want to go over there and fail in 2, 3 months? So the cost of Oxford Seminar, it will actually pay off. If you finish a 12 months contract and you're going to save more than, $10,000, then that's paying off way more of the cost of TESOL certificate. So I definitely recommend the TESOL certificate for sure. Because even if, again, the training, they trained you, but if you don't know any like terminology even, because they might just throw at you a lot of terminology, right? Oxford Seminar courses will teach all of those basic, a little bit of lesson planning, then the training will comes to kind of really working. But when you don't have anything, you may actually not get anything out of training that school provided. Then you're not ready to teach and be stand as a independent professional teacher. And especially for somebody look at this more than a year opportunity, then you definitely want to have a TESL certificate in your resume.
Wow, great. Thank you so much for coming on the pod to share your insight, Madeline.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Thank
My
you.
pleasure, my pleasure. Before we go, I should mention our contacts in Korea are well into recruiting for fall term starts, but there are still positions available for those teaching jobs beginning in September.
Yes.
As we've discussed, all the jobs available through our contacts will include free housing and at least one-way airfare reimbursement. Maybe you can even get round trip at some of the smaller cities. So you can save quite a bit of money teaching in Korea. If you really want a public school job through EPIC or directly with a provincial or municipal office of education, it's a bit late for this year, but our contacts will be accepting applications in September for February start. So keep that in mind for when best to submit your application for public school teaching jobs in Korea. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to the Teaching Abroad Pod. We'll be releasing new episodes monthly for the foreseeable future. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the usual places. If you have any great ideas you'd like to hear us discuss in upcoming episodes, please leave them in the comments on YouTube or email us at teachingabroadpod@oxfordseminars.com. Thanks for listening.